Greetings, friends, and welcome to Beast's Foundry. My name is Christian, and as usual, I will be your guide today. Now today, we're back to our creature feature section, and today we're going to be talking about the Razorwing. Now, the Razorwing, very similar to the Hopper, which we did last time, is an animal. You're going to see that on its stat block where it says Razorwing. It is animal, 3rd level. It is neutral, medium, all of its basic information, just as always, perception, skills, abilities. Now, the Razorwing doesn't have any basic standard reaction abilities, so there's nothing there. Now, one thing I did not mention on the Hopper, which is there, it's on every monster that we do, the identification section where you would make a recall knowledge check, you're going to see this little text block that says nature, DC 18, and it's going to tell you things you can tell your players if they succeed at that check. And then also for the DC 28, it's going to give you more information that you can give them as a critical success. Now, this information is really more world flavor information in how it interacts with the world. Still feel free to give them as little or as much mechanical information as that you might like, such as, what of their defenses is highest and lowest, or immunities, things like that. So this is kind of an on top of everything, just to give you some ideas as a DM of how to help flavor this creature to let your players know what they're dealing with. As we look around, the Razorwing actually has a few special abilities. One that I particularly like is called 1,000 Cuts. When a Razorwing hits with its wing slash attack, it causes persistent bleed damage. Now, normally that doesn't stack, but with the Razorwing, it does. It starts at 1d6, and every time a character would get hit, that 1d6 is going to go to 1d8, 1d10, 1d12, and it caps at 1d12. It doesn't go any higher than that, but that's a pretty significant amount of bleed damage when you're dealing with a challenge rating 3 creature. So just 2 Razorwings in a fight can really start to add up damage onto a player if they're going to simply fly by, slash, and fly off. So they are actually very dangerous if you're going to run them that way during a fight. As with all of our monsters, you have that very convenient stat block at the bottom that is telling you the AC. The defenses is Fortitude, Reflex, Will, any kind of immunities, which Razorwings do not have any special immunities, weaknesses, or resistances, but it gives you the speed and also the hit points. And we have our attacks listed. It has its beak attack and then its wing slash attack. That is an agile and finesse weapon. You'll see that it does 1d8 plus 4 slashing damage, but also there's another block that says 1d6 persistent bleed. So you're going to add that on top of the normal slashing damage that it does. It also has a special ability called Double Slash. The Razorwing makes 2 wing slashes against the same target. It does this before it applies its multiple attack penalty, so it gets 2 attacks at its highest bonus. So this is kind of a fun ability that you could fly in and do 2 attacks against someone, possibly adding 2 hits on the persistent bleed damage. That way you're going to bump that up to a D8 if both of them hit. They're a pretty fun monster, and there's not a lot of flying monsters at low levels, but there's a reason for that just because characters don't have a ton of range options at lower levels. So these can be very dangerous. So use them sparingly, but they definitely should be used if you're trying to inspire a sense of dread. To the common person, these are horrific creatures. They are terrifying. And these also, like the Hopper, can be animal companions. There is the whole stat block of everything that you get as an animal companion. All of that is there for you. So it should be pretty interesting for your players to mess around with and have a little bit of fun with. And as always, we have the combat section giving you some ideas of how Razorwings prefer to fight, and then the ecology, which kind of covers in maybe a little bit about domestication and costs to buy one if people are wanting a trained one to use it as a type of animal that they can use to go hunting with, and things like that. Now, our second page here, again, we have our crafting checks where you can make a DC 20 nature check and harvest materials from the Razorwing to make some of the items that can be crafted from its body, or other items that have to do with flight or any type of bleed damage. So I don't want to just limit it to these items that we've added. Your players can get creative with it how they want to add this in. So if there's an item that maybe grants flight, scrolls of flying, levitation, feather fall, these components would all be wonderful for allowing them to apply that value to those items. So giving them some really neat things that like, oh, can I get one of the scrolls of fly? Like, oh yeah, when we fought all those Razorwings, we made a couple of those. So it's kind of a fun thing to allow your characters that opportunity to it's an opportunity for your players to really get in there and just create items that really tell their story of everywhere they've been. And to me, that is so much fun. The standard weapon that you can make is a razor dagger. This is just very much a normal dagger, except it has the agile, backstabber, finesse, and versatile slashing trait. This could even be considered borderline advanced weapon, but I'm really trying to leave all of these as uncommon martial weapons. So with it being uncommon, the DM still has that ability to say, no, I don't want this in there. It's not that it's that powerful. I would just probably not have a player start with this. That this might be a reward is more of like a level 1 item or something like that. You get the idea. One of the items you can make from them that I actually really enjoyed is the Necklace of Wounds. It's a very simple item that basically you can use a single action when you are trying to recover from persistent bleed damage, only bleed damage. And what it does is it makes it so you can succeed on a 10 or higher on your check. Now, there is no limit to the number of times you can do this. It's not once a day. So if you are suffering from bleed damage, you can spend one of your actions to use this item. And when you make the check, you will be considered to have assisted recovery. You don't make the check right then, so you're still going to take the bleed damage, but when you do after that, you will succeed on a 10 or higher. So that is a pretty significant increase, and it's a low-level item, so that's why I kind of toyed around with it and had it just, you can't ignore the bleed damage. You are going to take it at least once, but then it'll give you much better odds of actually ending that damage. And then we also have the feathered shoulder pads. These are kind of a fun little item. There's a reaction that allows you to do feather fall with them. That way, if you are someplace high or flying, various things that you need feather fall for, you can enact that spell. And then there's also a once a day for 1 minute, you gain the ability to fly at your normal land speed. You must end movement on solid object or else you will fall. So you can't just take off soaring into the air for 1 minute. After every individual move, you do need to land somewhere, otherwise you're going to fall. However, 25 feet, that's a lot of leeway that you can fly to one spot, fly to another spot, or move around the battlefield without having to worry too much of what opponents might be in your way. So again, this is not a super high level item, but the flight it grants you is also incredibly limited. So wanted to play around with giving characters that minor ability of flight, but at the same time, it's not a huge advantage. You're really a jump spell heightened to 3rd level, which is also 5th level for your character, is going to do the exact same thing. So there's really no major benefit here. It's just a different flavoring for what it does to give your characters that feeling that they are flying. And then we also have our standard amount of other information talking about how these creatures interact with the world. Also summoning spells, that what level of summon nature's ally do you need to conjure one of these to use them as a summoned minion. So that's really all I had for you today on the Razorwing. So I really hope you enjoy these creatures. They are a ton of fun to throw at your enemies or your players. However you want to do that. Maybe you shouldn't call your players your enemies. I was really thinking more of as a player, you had one as animal companion or you're summoning them, I don't really think of my players as my enemies. Okay, maybe just a little, but most of the time, not so much. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I very much love hearing from all of you. If you have any comments, anything that you would like to add, any requests, I'm all ears. I'm happy to engage with you guys and see what it is you guys want more of. So as usual, game well, my friends, and I will see you next time.